Hi everybody, and a big warm welcome back to Reactivated. I'm MLU4 as we head into the depths of the Robot Wars archives. As ever, we start with our bot bit. But this time, can you identify which two robots are fighting it out in the arena and in which series? Find out the answer a little bit later on. We now move on to our brand new Fantasy Fight tournament. I have with me the pencil case. Our first two, completely at random, will be going head to head. The first one is Iron Ore 2.1. That's the yellow version of Iron Ore that we saw in Series 6 onwards. I do believe that is correct in Extreme 2. Iron Ore 2 will be against... oh dear me. Oh, Carbide. And I kid you not, out of all of the robots I have here, I'm going to just empty so you can see all of them there, we picked two very well-known robots. So the question is now, who would win? The thing is, if you remember from the 7th series when Iron Ore was against a Typhoon, and how one-sided really that was. So again, you've got the classic wedge flipper against the disc. Carbide, hands down, would obliterate Iron Ore. It is a shame really, because Iron Ore for me are probably one of the most unluckiest robots in Robot Wars. If you look through its series, its history, they were very unlucky to go out when they did in the various tournaments, the various heats. So for me, our first match, we've got Carbide in it, so there's very little going to withstand this, I think, as the series progresses. But there we go, Carbide for me, the winner. We never got to see a robot resurrecting itself from the pit of Oblivion. It was talked about. It was talked about, especially with Rex Garrett in Series 3, because that flipper of Cassius 2 was more powerful than the first version of Cassius. If it had landed in the pit the right side up, the theory was it would flip itself out of the arena. And it very nearly did. In our series, we did try to replicate that feature because we really wanted to see it in the actual series. So we thought, well, we've never seen it in the series, we're going to do it in ours. So hence the introduction of APD all the way back in Extreme Series 1. So there we go. Let me know, and anything else I might have missed that we never actually got to see. Let me know in the comments below as we move on to some fighting talk. For me, I really did like the seeding system of the old series. There was there was quite a lot of stability and expectation. But when we got to Series 8, of course, it was 12 years since the last series. So the seeding system wouldn't have really worked. However, if you look back now at each heat of Series 8 with the robots from the original run in the series, which robots would you have put as seeds? Let's do, say, 1, maybe 2 seeds per heat. So say Series 8 took place a year after Series 7. So in Heat A, of course, in Series 8, we had Razor, Terahertz and Behemoth returning. Based on the Series 7 performance, who would you have put? Because if you really remember that Terahertz and Behemoth both crashed out of Series 7 and of course were both seeds, and Razor of course hadn't been seen since Series 6 when it came runner-up. So for me, I'm going to pick 2 seeds here. I would have picked Razor as 1. I'm going to make a note of this because we're going to order them as well. So Razor is 1 seed, and I think I'm going to put Behemoth as the 2nd seed there for Heat A of Series 8. Then you go into Heat B, Tough as Nails, both Tough as Nails and Thor returning. So there we go, 2 seeds. Tough as Nails, of course, in Series 7 reaching the semi-finals, so they for me are definitely a seed. And Thor also returning from Series 7, and because of the experience, Thor would be the 2nd seed. And in Heat 3, we had Dan Tomkier, King B Remix and Supernova all returning. And again, based on the performances from the 7th series, Dan Tomkier would be the absolute one to beat for Heat 3, the seed. And I'm also going to put down King B because they reached the 2nd round in Series 7. Sadly, Supernova didn't, even though it's probably more destructive than King B. Then in Heat D, we had both Storm 2 return and Can Opener. Of course, being seeded 2 would have returned, if Typhoon had returned for Series 8, of course they would have been top seed. But for me, top seed for Series 8 would have been Storm 2. And we also had Can Opener returning. I'm going to put Can Opener as a seed here because they won the Annihilator, not only once but twice. So Can Opener goes down as a seed. And then in Heat E, the last qualifying heat, we have Thermidor 2, Chompalot, and Infernal Contraption. Of course, Thermidor 2 reaching the semi-finals of Series 7, they would definitely go down as a seed. And then between the other two, I'm going to put down Chompalot as the second seed for that heat because Chompalot won the Iron Maidens competition in Series 6 Extreme 2. So there we go. I definitely put Storm 2 as my number 1 seed for Series 8. Followed closely by, bearing in mind, we have the semi-final stage of Series 7. I'm going to put down Tough as Nails as the second seed, followed by Thermidor 2 as the third seed, because they both got through to the semi-finals of Series 7. Then just based on experience, I'd then put down Behemoth, followed by Razor, then Thor, King B Remix, Can Opener, and then Chompalot. Seeds sorted for Series 8. It's just a shame none of them got through Series 8 because, of course, a brand new breed of robots came through the mix. And there we go. There is my fighting talk for this time. Now, as previously promised in one of the previous Reactivated episodes, I did say that at some point in Reactivated, I would review each merchandise, the toys that you could get back in the day. And as you can see here, I have my mountain of original toys, the original 6 toys you could get. First, before we carry on, which one are we going to review first? Well, I'm going to pick, there is a reason for each of my choices and I will explain as we go through, Matilda. So we're going to be reviewing each toy based on the features out of 10, the realism compared to the actual robot on telly, and then my overall rating each out of 10, so out of 30 let's say. So Matilda was the very first toy I bought just before Christmas 2000. She came in on her own, and at the time I was doing a series with very, very small Lego robots which actually feature in our main series, and then when we got Matilda I realised, oh dear, she's much bigger than our Lego arena, hence us making a bigger arena. So for me, getting Matilda, because she at the time was my favourite house robot, took priority because I could only afford one house robot at the time. So this was the original model that we used as well for our first few series. So for the features, obviously she pulls back, she's got the tusks at the front, brilliant, and then at the back she had a chainsaw which didn't really do much, it was just a bit of plastic really, but the realism of the chainsaw is great. And she also came with an interchangeable, getting ahead of themselves here because flywheel came as a toy before her actual flywheel did in the series. And this is Matilda Mach 2. This is the Matilda that we used for our Series 6, 7 and 8 Robot Wars series when we came back with the reboots. So I'd give the features of Matilda a good 7. Now how she looked compared to the actual robot in real life, not a bad comparison. They got the attention to detail with a clay front, the horns, the spikes, the tusks, even the flywheel and her horns on top. Not a bad likeness. I'm going to give this a 9 in comparison to how she looked on telly. Now overall as a toy, how does it rate? I'm going to give Matilda an 8 out of 10. She is one of the better toys. Certainly from the original batch that you could get. And of course she also came with the addition of, still got the packages of all Robot Wars toys here. There is Matilda's. She came with the addition of the pinball car door option, and it's here. It is here. It's very, very, very loose and brittle now. I have lost one piece, which means that the leg doesn't work on one side, sadly, but it still swings-ish. And this was our first addition to our pinball arena that we were going to make at some point in the not too distant future. So there we go. There is my overall rating of Matilda the toy, just there. And there is Matilda in a nutshell. Just before we answer your questions, there's just time to go back to Bot Bit. We had the fight of the two robots. If we zoom out, we can reveal, if you got it, well done, it's Steg 2 versus Iron Ore. And of course, we've just coincidentally had Iron Ore go out to Carbide in our fantasy fight. I promise we don't make this up, I honestly swear to God, it's written in the stars. Just going to get back to your questions now. Well done to all those who got that right. From the Pig Guem123, apologies if I have got that right, wrong even. In your Robot Wars series, which was the worst robot to enter? Well, there were a few. If you notice, back in Series 1, we were actually trying to make up robots to get to the 36 number that we needed for each heat. So there are a couple of additions that we didn't really enjoy and like. Wheelie Wacko was one, dreadful. And Jack as well. Jack, trivia point here. Jack was actually part of a McDonald's Happy Meal collection. You could collect him. So for me, Jack, I would have to say, is probably the worst robot that we ever conceived, and I'm annoyed really that we wasted a space to put Jack in. Of course, Jack didn't make a second appearance. In fact, Jack's own one and only fight, you will notice, is Heat 6 of our first series in the melee against Tornado and Really Big Cheese. We destroyed Jack because that's how we felt in real life, to be honest. So Jack is definitely up there, if not the worst performing robot we've ever had. Also Neptune from Series 5 of our Robot Wars was pretty appalling. We even had a little bit of fun trying to enter it into our arena and it just fell over. There we go. So there we go. So thank you, the Pig Guem123. My answer to your question is Jack. Taz91 says, which was your favourite lineup of semi-finalists from the original run, Series 2 to 7? On paper, Series 5 robots, everything about Series 5 in terms of the robots was just over the top completely. I mean, in each heat you had at least 3 incredible robots, veterans from the wars. I mean, I remember, I think there was one heat where we had, there was Really Big Cheese, Behemoth, Supernova Crustacean. That's an example of the calibre of robots in Series 5. So each robot making it through to the semi-finals, on paper, for me, Series 5 was the best lineup. Every single position was filled by a veteran. Thank you, Taz91. Do we have time for another one? Yes. Samuel Lima. If you could fix Series 7 Robot Wars, what would you do? There's been quite a lot people talk about on Series 7 and my choice of not really liking it. I'll just stress this: it wasn't the fights necessarily. Some of the best fights we've ever seen in Series 7. For me, it was all about the production, the value, the backstage stuff. For me, it just felt rushed. They just lost the love and enthusiasm as well, because it was produced by a different producer. It was on Channel 5 as well, so I don't think Channel 5 had the love of it as well, and it did show in the end product. They never really spent much time on the arena itself. It always looked really dirty and just unloved. And I know you might think, well, that's what it was meant to be because it's a war zone. But there was just something about it that didn't quite work. And also, if you notice, the quality of the house robot lineup as well, not a lot of, for me, effort went into making the house robots mean and moody that year. Mr. Psycho's hammer was very, wasn't it? Didn't really do anything. His head came off a few times as well. Shunt as well, his axe was dreadful, it never worked. He got flipped hundreds of times in Series 7. So there you go. Not necessarily the fighting, the fights were brilliant. It was more stuff. I'm sorry, I've whittled on. It's my fault. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, download. If you want, just let me know as well what you want to see in Reactivated. We have 15 minutes to get through quite a lot in such a short space of time. So if you want to see anything new, or if you want any more questions answered, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching.